So light language in its whole is one of those tools that's coming in to assist us in upgrading and clearing and cleansing and connecting to more of the divine higher vibrational energies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Swara, and welcome to the Seeker Solution Summit. I'm so excited today to invite you to this very special talk with Laara. Laara is a light code and light language channel and healer, and we're so excited to have you today. Thank you so much for joining us at the Seeker Solution Summit.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Wonderful, wonderful. I am so interested in the work that you are doing with light codes and light language. I think it's a pretty new concept that's out there. And I'm so interested in knowing, first of all, how you came to this work.
Well, I have to say that it all started with a dream, literally a dream. Spirit woke me up from a rather vivid dream. So it was one of those 4 a.m. wake up calls that we can get sometimes when we're developing along on our spiritual journey. We keep getting woken up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because that's when the veil is the thinnest. So it's easier for spirit to communicate with us. And so I had this really vivid dream and I woke up and there were literally these codes, which I had no idea, I had no understanding what they were, but these squiggles and lines floating around my dark room in this brilliant silver. And they were so incredible that I definitely took note, and I sat up and I wrote them down, like I copied them because I definitely didn't want to forget them. And that was my first introduction. And then the following day, I went to a yoga class. And during the yoga class, I started seeing these codes again, but this time in my mind's eye. So they weren't external from me, they were more of an internal experience. And I asked my guidance to please help me remember these codes so that I could go home and write them down. And they did. I was able to write them down when I got home. And then from that point on, what I noticed was since I was already on a path of learning to be an energy healer, I was diving quite deep into how to be a hands-on healer, working with many different teachers from like locally and also abroad. I was very interested in being of service and trying to help people. And so I'd be sitting in a cafe and someone would just start spilling their life story to me.
Wow.
And I would want to help them, but sitting in a cafe, it's not always the most appropriate to lay on of hands and run energy to help hopefully resolve a situation. So instead, I started seeing these codes and they would come forward of my temple. They'd move forward into my mind's eye. That's the best way I can kind of describe it. And I'd say to the person, I see this code that might help you in this situation. Would you like me to write it down? And they would always say yes, like it was the most amazing, wonderful thing that they had ever heard, not weird at all. And there was always magically a pen and paper around because often when we need pen and paper, it's never to be found. But no, this time there was always pen and paper. I would draw it out. Most times it would come with what I call a light language name or like a galactic or universal name, whatever you like to say, and a short description of the energy that this light code would emit. And so I would write that all down for them and I would take a picture with my phone and I'd give them the original and I'd say, I'm taking a copy of this so I can put it in my book. And then they'd say, oh, are you going to publish? And I'd say no, but never say never. And that's how, that's basically how the little book of light codes was born. But that was how my development with light codes and light language began. And for about 2 years, I did this for about 2 years, sitting in a cafe and these codes coming through for people. I had no idea what they were.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know where to start. How do you look that up? Like, you can Google anything, but how do you Google squiggly lines that come through in your mind's eye? Like, I didn't know what that was. And I went to an expo, a science and spirituality expo that had an incredible list of people there, Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza and Lynn McTaggart and so on. And I thought for sure someone here would know what this was. So I took my little collection, I ran it around to all these strangers. Can you tell me what this is? And I got the confirmation I needed that it was light language. And then I started researching. So
Wonderful. So I just want to understand like what happened. So in this dream, you woke up and you saw these symbols that were really alive, like come to life in front of you in that dark space of your room. And you knew that they were these codes, this light language. And
well, I knew that they were special, but I didn't know what it was.
okay, did you have an impression of like the energy that they were emitting, the meanings of them at that time?
No,
Okay.
not those codes. I just knew that I was buzzing with energy.
Mhm.
I was in full communication with my spirit guide who was being introduced to me for the first time in that moment. Um, I knew they were important, and it felt good. And like I said, I was feeling just totally buzzy and like in total awe of what was going on. This was one of those highly profound spiritual events. And so I knew that much, but I didn't know what the codes were. At the time, they didn't have a name, they didn't have a definition. I wasn't in tune with them enough to know that they would hold topic information.
Mhm.
Um, but those codes did arrive in the little book of light codes, and I can even show you one of them if you like.
Oh, yes.
It'll take me a second, it was just to find it here. But yeah, they were so brilliant in the darkness. I think that's the best way that I can describe it. They were just alive and brilliant and shining, shimmering silver. And I have to say, I have terrible eyesight, like really bad. I can't see my hand out in front of me without my contacts or glasses. Like, my eyes are really bad. But obviously I didn't have contacts or glasses on when I first woke up from my dream, and I have these symbol things floating around. And yeah, and they were clear as day.
Wow.
Clear as day. And that's one of the things that happens for me. If spirit wakes me up to show me something in the middle of the night, I'll be able to see as if I'm wearing glasses.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
And so when you were in the cafe and you were giving out these light codes, these symbols to people, I love that you took that leap and trusted the moment. Beautiful.
That was one of them.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Oh, and can you show us the cover of the book just so that we can see, like if we ever, for anyone out there who might be looking for the little book of light codes, this is what that looks like. Wonderful. Thank you. And so I love that you took that leap of faith and actually acted on it, responded to it, handed these symbols out to people. And also the fact that in that moment that they were receptive and they were open to it. What a gift that was. I can just feel like chills coming in right now, even as we talk about it, to take that leap of faith and that it actually was meaningful for the both of you. That's pretty incredible.
Well, and it to me is proof of divine intervention as well. Like that I was clearly guided, that the person receiving was clearly guided to open up to me in that moment on that day. And it just, the way that we are led forward in our lives, if we just allow it to happen, to follow those breadcrumbs,
Mhm.
that's, I think, where the magic is.
Mhm. Wonderful. And this right here, even this interview, the fact that the listeners are here, this is a breadcrumb. Just want you to know. And so please tell us more. Tell us more. Since that time when you didn't know necessarily what these images were to now, having worked with them, you know, what are they meant for? How do we use them? Where do they come from? There's so many questions that are coming up right now. Tell us more.
Of course. Well, they are certainly mysterious. So it's very normal to have a lot of questions around this topic. And I certainly have had many questions myself. And what I have noticed is in my journey with them, there is quite an evolution in understanding what they are, and like you say, where they come from and all of that. So what I have discovered is we all know that we are in a very potent time right now. We are in this changing of the ages. It's like a changing of the guard. We're moving from the Piscean age, which is very watery, and into the age of Aquarius, which is air, everything happening very fast, very, so quickly. But during these transition times, which can last anywhere from 250 to 500 years, it tends to be a little bit turbulent. So you can even imagine what happens when water and air come together. Well, we get weather. So literally the turbulence can happen. So everything that we're kind of seeing play out right now is, although it's uncomfortable for us, there's a lot of unknown. It is normal. And so that hopefully will bring forward a sense of comfort for everybody listening, that this is very normal what we're experiencing. We've all chosen to be here in this turbulent time. And because we're here and because we're involved with all these energies going on, we need all the help we can get, to be honest. So I call these light codes life codes, because they are helping us to navigate this time that we're in, that we all chose to be in together and to navigate. The other thing that's happening is we are moving more and more into the galactic center. And what that means is it's this photon belt, a physical photon belt, where our whole solar system is moving forward into. And as that happens, we are all being bombarded with more light on a literal and figurative sense. Okay. So because it's real photons. So that means that our sun is getting upgrades. So now we see that with the explosive nature of the sun. You've been hearing about the Schumann resonance, and that's the sun's impact with the earth and the earth's magnetic field. You hear about all those solar flares. That's like the sun burping off energy, and then we're getting caught up in the middle of it. So we're getting this influx from our sun, as well as our own planet that's moving further into the physical photon belt. So what that means is we're getting more light. What does that mean? That means that there's going to be a purging of any darkness. So that means we're all being called to look at our shadows. It means that we're going to be seeing on quite a broad stage a lot of those darker, lower vibrational energies acting out. Because when you think about when you think about a dark room, okay, it's dark and you turn on the light, what happens to the darkness? It vanishes, but it has to go up and out. It has to leave. So what we're in right now, as we're moving into this photon belt, we're in this purging time of the dark energies as more and more light comes in. So with all of that, like I said before, we're given more tools. We're giving tools to cope with this. We're giving tools to upgrade our own physical bodies as well as our energetic bodies, because we have to actually learn to take in more energy. We have to clear those lower vibrational energies that have been all along our ancestral line for eons, right? This is an opportunity now for us to do a lot of karmic work with although it's challenging, we actually have a lot of support because we're getting the support by all the light. So
Mhm.
light language in its whole is one of those tools that's coming in to assist us in
Mhm.
upgrading and clearing and cleansing and connecting to more of the divine higher vibrational energies. So that's just a very broad kind of overview. Now, where does it come from? Well, it ultimately comes from source. Okay, so we can look at it as universal energy, is God, it's source, it's whatever it is that you connect with that is beautifully divine and pure. When light language is channeled properly, it is pure love,
Mm.
pure love. Okay, now we can go a little bit down the rabbit hole if one believes in we as humans are not the only, well, this planet isn't the only planet with life. Okay, if we think about other planets that might have life,
Sure.
those other planets, such as we're looking at the Pleiadians, we're looking at the Centaurians, the Syrians, the Arcturians, we're looking like there's many, many different races that you may or may not have heard about. And there's a lot of people out there in the light language community who feel as though they are channeling something very specific. They channel Palladian energy. Now, this is the Pleiades, that's a star system. There's a lot of beautiful high vibrational energies that come from those guys. So that's another way that you might hear people connecting to it, is it's a star seed language. You might also hear people connecting to it as it's the language of the higher self or the soul.
Mhm.
So that's how people can get a little bit confused because they think it's one or the other, when in actuality, it's all. It's
Right.
all encompassing, because what's beyond the Palladians, we're still in this encapsulated vibration of love. And that's the expression of the light language. So anyways, there's probably a lot to chew on there.
Yeah, there is, but I love that you've set up a much broader context of not only from what's happening on this planet, but actually what's happening throughout the whole universe in actual physical reality. And then within that, within the time and evolution of where we are in time across all of time, like this is how we're all evolving. So I think that's really exciting. It's really exciting because we've heard as seekers, we've heard about, the coming of the new earth, a new way of being and tapping into higher vibrations, ascension, tapping into higher vibrations of love and connection. And so I love that you've built that context around this. And the idea that light codes, among everything else too that we already have and know of, that it's a new tool that's being brought forward, that's really exciting. So I'd love to know more about, how do we use this tool? What's the mechanism? How does it work for us? Why is it coming here, and how can we use that?
For sure. So I'm just going to take one step back and explain light language and light codes a little more deeply. So light language, like I said before, is an expression of love, but it can also it holds a lot of information, like a vast, massive amount of information. And you can think of it as like the computer that's holding like all those zeros and ones. Okay, if we condense and compact that down, kind of like in a computer, you think of a zip file, how we can condense and compact a file down, that would be the light code. So light language would be the long strung out version, and a light code would be the compacted version that then we look at. Light codes are always drawn. Okay, it's always written as a singular thing. Light language can be expressed in written form as well, but it's going to be long.
Mhm.
You can also sign it and speak it. Those are the most common forms because those are um, I think they're the most clear version. However, You can get some art that will come through as light language in just a painting, because that the energy was channeled. The person who was creating the artwork, whether it's oil, pastel, paint, wow, or whatever your medium is,
Mhm.
it can be a channeled work of art, of course, and art mostly is channeled. So that is a way that we can express light language. Also through dance,
Mm.
um, that's a that's a beautiful way to express it as well. You can also get it in some photos. Photography is able to capture light language. Now, how do we know when it's light language, like in a photo or a piece of art or an expression of dance? It's always coming through the heart. The heart is able to know.
Mhm.
So I know most of us have a lot of work to do on our heart spaces, but if it speaks to you, it speaks to you. And
Mhm.
that speaking is a form of light language. Same with music. Music is a beautiful way to express light language as well.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I could really relate to that. So I love that context that you're continuing to build on. Yeah, but I still want to know, like, let's go. How does the light language and the light codes, um, how does that work?
so, so we can tune into light language and light codes very simply by connecting into our heart space. These codes are holding, like I said before, a vast amount of information, and it's often on a topic. Okay.
Mm.
So a light code, just because this is the most easiest for me to describe, a light code is like a portal. And that portal takes you on a topic to a bit of an umbrella. It's like going up the what is that? A handle of the umbrella. So you have a topic and you go up like a portal to the umbrella, the top of the umbrella, and that's your starting point, your topic point. And then as you work with the code, it will change and morph for you so that it'll take you where you need to go on that topic.
Mm.
So that's why we can actually work with a code for the rest of our lives, because it'll essentially grow with us. So
Mm.
you have a code. This is your access point to a massive amount of information, but it's only going to take you to where you need to go on any given day that's most appropriate and in perfect alignment for you, because they will work with you in your highest good, because it's love. Love will only ever work with you in your highest good. So they're very safe. Um, you don't always have to be conscious of what's going on, although conscious is fun and we do our best to be conscious, but sometimes we're not conscious, and sometimes it needs to work on subconscious levels. And actually, they do a lot of good work there, because they're able to focus your energy, whether you're aware of it or not. Focus your energy where there needs to be some healing or some shifts or some minor adjustments or tweaks or releasing or whatever it is that needs to happen for you as an individual in that particular moment of time and space.
Mhm.
Um, the codes are offering these upgrades to our body, just by being in their presence. So they actually emit a frequency that your energetic body can tune into naturally. This is an energy that your heart understands, your higher self understands, your soul and beyond understands. So
Mhm.
that's another reason why it can bypass our thinking brain. The thinking brain can get into a lot of trouble. It can get in the way. So it's nice to have something that can kind of bypass that a little bit. Of course, if you get information, if you get a hit or a feeling, or you know what that is, then that's wonderful. That's being conscious and working with it consciously. But again, it's not necessary.
Mhm. So the way you're describing it, it sounds like within that umbrella of so much information and access, that information can be so multidimensional. Like maybe it's mental information, maybe it's something within our energetic body, maybe it's something within our physical body that we might need in that time. So it can be so multidimensional, our higher selves and things. So Wow,
Absolutely.
that's pretty amazing. Yeah, is that accurate, what I'm hearing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So they absolutely work on all levels of the being. Um, they can work consciously or subconsciously, and um, they're infinitely intelligent, also what I would say. And
Beautiful.
so we can work with it in a more conscious way by simply being grounded to the best of our ability and connecting to our heart space to the best of our ability, and then gazing on the code and just being in a gentle meditative space. We can breathe it in. That's a really nice way to work with them. That's more active, other than we could also just have them up in our office space or on our altar, or you can charge crystals with them.
Mm.
You could charge water with them. You know, you can do a lot. There's really no limit. I've had people put them under their pillow or under their bed at night, and it enhances their dreams, like really wild. Yeah, it's really an intuitive and personal process how one wishes to work with them. There is no wrong way.
Yeah, yeah. And right now you're mentioning intuitive and it seems like your intentionality behind it is also really key to what you're going to bring forward using a light code. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure, I'd love to actually. Intention is actually a very important topic to me, mostly because there can be a lot of misunderstanding around intention, and the reason is that it's a broadly used term. So I'd like to describe what intention means to me, and hopefully that will help some of the people out there listening to this. So intention is when we focus our energy on something with a purpose. So what does that mean? Well, we can intend to pick up that pencil. Doesn't mean we're going to pick up the pencil. We're just thinking, oh, we'd like to pick up the pencil.
Mhm.
What we need to do is actually pick up the pencil. So that means that we need to create an energy within our being to go and pick up that pencil. So when we're creating an intention around working with a light code, for saying an affirmation, all the different things in the spiritual community that we could possibly wish to intend, even like saying a prayer, it's creating the energy and then doing our best to feel what that energy is doing and the purpose of that energy in creating it and bringing it forward. This is going to amplify your manifestation powers exponentially, because this is what gets left out. When we want to manifest something, we forget that we actually have to feel it.
Mm.
When people say, oh, you need to make it like you already have it,
Mhm.
that can be hard to do because we don't have it. We
Mhm.
don't know what it's like, but we can create a space where we have enough energy, that it is almost tangible. And that's kind of the sweet zone that we need to get into when we're intending anything.
Mhm.
Create that energy. So how do we create that energy?
Mhm.
That's the big question.
Okay.
Um, so for me personally, I have a really powerful grounding practice. We must be grounded.
Mhm.
A lot of people in on the spiritual path, we only want to be thinking about connecting to spirit and being in these higher chakras because it's fun. We want to be able to see spirit, we want to be able to hear or sense spirit, and it's all kind of up here. We're all very ungrounded.
Mhm.
But we actually have to be present on this planet, especially if we want to manifest things, and especially if we want to actually help increase the vibration of the planets, because we want to be heading into those higher vibrational ages. We want to create that golden age. We want to use the photon belt to our advantage and create a really spectacular age of the ascension time that we're in, right? So that means that we need to ground and be present in our bodies. And this is how we're going to wamp up energy. So we're going to get grounded. We're going to be pulling energy up through the bottoms of our feet. We actually have really nice chakras on the bottoms of our feet it's in our arches. Our foot is actually meant to suck up earth energy when we walk, but most of us have never even learned how to do that. But we can learn. So we pull the earth energy up, 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 all the way to the top of our head, and then we can release it back down, or we can release it out our crown. Those are the two options. I play with both of them. Now, if anybody's watching this and saying, I really want to be led through this, I actually do have a video on my YouTube channel, grounding practice. It's easy to follow along. You can practice it, and so that it gets very, very easy for you. I would suggest doing it once a day for 30 days. That will teach your body how to do this, and then you'll be able to do it very quickly. In like 3 breaths, you can be grounded. After you're grounded, we tune into our heart space. Now, I like to place my hands over my heart space, especially if I'm feeling like, oh, it might be a day where it's hard to connect with my heart. So let's place the hands over the heart space so that we can make that physical connection. And then we can imagine breathing in and out through this space. We want to be using a nice slow breath, a little slower than usual. And so that, in combination with the grounding practice, can really help us to be very present, very relaxed. It's incredibly relaxing, feels great. And it's a way to really be engaging with more and more energy. We can also do practices like Tai Chi, yoga. Those are ways moving the body is very helpful for creating energy. Even weightlifting is really good for building up energy, but using that intention, that purpose of I am doing this to move the energy through my body.
Yeah.
I can feel the energy moving through my body, and so that it's being created.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I can see how so many pieces of things that I've learned, like grounding practices and heart center practice and things, are all coming together with this light code. It seems to all be really very compatible, and the light code is amplifying. Actually, kind of brings in an additional layer of extra little woomph, extra power in there. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I would love, I don't want to, I would love if maybe, do we have an opportunity maybe to experience a little bit of something here in this space, in this container together? What do you think, Laara?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. I could offer a light language channeling. I just need a topic, actually. It would be, think of a topic here. What do you think our listeners would most love some clarity or assistance with?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is either something having to do with getting back into our hearts and returning to our hearts, or I love this idea of, powerfully grounding. So being a part of, this earth in this body here and now. So maybe something around one of those two. What do you think?
I think we can do both. Let's do both.
Okay.
So I love that. I can feel your energy calling that forward. So that's really beautiful. So this is going to be grounding to the physical earth, connecting to our heart space, and being that lighthouse that we came here to be. So if no one has, or if there's anyone out there who has not seen anyone channel light language before, it can sound a little bit funny. That's okay. Just go with it. I invite you to slow your breath down and just relax. Again, this is always channeled in love and in your highest good. Your being is going to know exactly what to do with this. So there's no thinking involved. You can just be with the sounds and the energy. Yamakana lomasiya sholo. Khana te siat kapasala na isia komapata. Sukomatia lalanaisia tukapasia shota. Shota kapapa salatia kramapalano tapatia solonomasia. Shukoma talananaisia tukapasala. Tukina kana tia tukosamataya talanonomakata tuklutukapasia. Pawa mana. Pawa mamata talananaisia kapapasio tukushulunamata. Shulunamata tayasuyutukapasia no 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 moso. Lona no no moso lulumoso pa halananata. 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 The energy is moving down just to help ground further. Sini kina tatanana tokapasiya ba pata siyo sukyano shukyana kapata siya sala. Nine talanono. Nine talanono kapapia tukapapasana tia sutukimasio shukapapasa. Tikyano kapapata. Sukya no takapa. Tako sataka nanano manta nalana nankiana dotkopa sutukopa. Tono. Tono. Let's take a deep inhale. Exhale, let all tension go. Amamanta siya sunanapia. Patatanana isikyono kapasa tolonopa. Shokamata talalana isiya namatala. Seni kiananaita so namaisada tayatananama. Banana nomo suyoto tatalalana isiya tukapasia sholana mota. Pianonoma. So we're just creating now that we're feeling a little more grounded and present within our bodies. We're just creating now a space around our hearts to make our hearts know and feel very secure. So that we can invite our hearts forward. But first, we're going to just create a container. Container just so that our heart feels nice and protected and safe and welcome. Palataya sotatanaya tukapasaya shunanano tatalanano palanaya shunanata. We're going to connect that now to our feet, remembering that we're very grounded and present. Sutkina tikitalavana tukapasaya shulananopa. Homata sayatina kira sotukapasaya tukusama. Shanata surnatakada tukapatina. Bananai suyo, pata, patalana, siya tanama, siya shulanama. The heart is so sacred. So we take this moment to honor your heart and all of its beauty and strength. It's incredibly strong. It's incredibly resilient. Powerful, knowing. It's the connection point between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. It's this place of transformation and sweetness. Titikiana talana doka, patanano, pastia took a batanana isu no beisho. Tatia no namasia, shulano pacana, sonani, tatia sotorpa talanamosia. Shukiana tapasia, tamataisia tokapasana no shuta sananamasa. Shuta sanamasada nana sho mananaisia pala naikyanoma. Laikionoma talaisia tokapasu wamamanaya shopa. Shopa samata to tapasia nanari tukupa Sina kina pa. Oma tana sunanamasa. Letting that energy now expand through your entire being, radiating your brilliance, radiating your amazing light. Feeling clear and cleansed and activated and relaxed, present within your own body, connected to your heart space, ready, willing, and able to move forth about your life, your journey, and your divine timing as the magnificent divine being that you are. Padatanamasi, Shudadatapasi, Shudanamata, Saludukapas, Dada, Dolonamata, Tia, Sukapapasia, Tunopasia, Shukyu no Kapa, Tadai, Sia Tukusutina, Patata, Yesudia, Dada, Patai, Sia Tini, Taturkapa, Shudanamatia, Sayudonamatia, Shunomatia, Tukapana, Nomanta, Talana. So Latkana Nanomasia Tinai, Siutukapa, Sayashunamata, no mas, Lana, Nukopapa, Homa sa ho. Feeling that anchoring. Homa ta sananoma so. Hara sa mama sia teka sada dilala noma sada hara sada hala sa. Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you so much. That was very powerful. Wow, I just felt energy moving through me and reconnecting to my heart and to all of existence. That was beautiful. Thank you for taking us through that process.
My pleasure.
How are you feeling?
Great.
Oh, wonderful. So it looks like we've come up to the end of our time. And but before we go, I know that you came with a free gift for this audience. That process alone was a gift already, but I think just out of your generous heart, there's also something else. Will you tell us more about that?
Yes, of course. So on my website, I have some actually recordings of light language. So they're meditation recordings, and I'm going to make sure that your viewers and listeners have a access code for that so they can just download those. They're normally, $5, $10, something like that, but we're going to make sure that those are free for your people. And I'm also going to offer a light code that is going to be on this topic that we just channeled. So I'll make sure that that is available as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's an amazing, amazing, generous gift for everyone here. We're so very grateful. And I'm so grateful to have had this time to share with you, Laara. It's been amazing. I've learned so much. I feel personally expanded as well as I just learned so much. So thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your gift.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And to all of our listeners out there, I hope you have found this interview to be enlightening and also engaging and just really lifting your energy. We have so many more talks like this coming up ahead. Please join us every single day during the summit to unpack a new way to love ourselves, a new way to connect deeper, and to bring our highest vibration forward as we all bring together this new earth. So I'll see you tomorrow and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you for being here today. Bye-bye.